Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 1. Three bold spirits plight mutual faith in the Peach Garden. Heroes and champions win first honors fighting the Yellow Scarves. Here begins our tale. The empire, long divided, must unite. Long united, must divide. Thus it has ever been. In the closing years of the Zhou dynasty, 7 kingdoms warred among themselves until the kingdom of Qin prevailed and absorbed the other 6. But Qin soon fell, and on its ruins 2 opposing kingdoms, Chu and Han, fought for mastery until the kingdom of Han prevailed and absorbed its rival, as Qin had done before. The Han court's rise to power began when the supreme ancestor slew a white serpent, inspiring an uprising that ended with Han's ruling over a unified empire. 200 years later, after Wang Mang's usurpation, Emperor Guangwu restored the dynasty, and the Han emperors ruled for another 200 years down to the reign of Xian, after whom the realm split into 3 kingdoms. The cause of Han's fall may be traced to the reigns of Xian's 2 predecessors, Huan and Ling. Huan drove from office and persecuted officials of integrity and ability, giving all his trust to his eunuchs. After Ling succeeded Huan as emperor, Regent Marshal Dou Wu and Imperial Guardian Chen Fen, joint successors of the throne, planned to execute the power-abusing eunuch Cao Jie and his cohorts. But the plot came to light, and Dou Wu and Chen Fan were themselves put to death. From then on, the minions of the palace knew no restraint. On the 15th day of the 4th month of the 2nd year of the reign of established calm, Jianning, the emperor arrived at the Great Hall of Benign Virtue for the full moon ancestral rites. As he was about to seat himself, a strong wind began issuing out of a corner of the hall. From the same direction a green serpent appeared, slid down off a beam, and coiled itself on the throne. The emperor fainted and was rushed off to his private chambers. The assembled officials fled. The next moment the serpent vanished, and a sudden thunderstorm broke. Rain laced with hailstones pelted down for half the night, wrecking countless buildings. In the 2nd month of the 4th year of established calm, an earthquake struck Luoyang, the capital, and tidal waves swept coastal dwellers out to sea. In the 1st year of radiant harmony, Guanghe, hens were transformed into roosters. And on the 1st day of the 6th month, a murky cloud more than 100 spans in length floated into the great hall of benign virtue. The next month, a secondary rainbow was observed in the chamber of the consorts. Finally, a part of the cliffs of the Yuan Mountains plunged into earth. All these evil portents and more appeared, too many to be dismissed as isolated signs. Emperor Ling called on his officials to explain these disasters and omens. A court counselor, Cai Yong, argued bluntly that the secondary rainbow and the transformation of the hens were the result of interference in government by empresses and eunuchs. The emperor merely read the report, sighed, and withdrew. The eunuch Cao Jie observed this session unseen and informed his associates. They framed Cai Yong in another matter, and dismissed from office, he retired to his village. After that, a vicious gang of eunuchs known as the 10 regular attendants, Zhang Ran, Zhao Zhong, Feng Shu, Duan Gui, Cao Jie, Huo Lan, Jian Shou, Cheng Quan, Xia Yun, and Guo Sheng took charge. Zhang Ran gained the confidence of the emperor, who called him Nuncle. Court administration became so corrupt that across the land men's thoughts turned to rebellion, and outlaws swarmed like hornets. One rebel group, the Yellow Scarves, was organized by 3 brothers from the Zhulu district, Zhang Jiao, Zhang Bao, and Zhang Liang. Zhang Jiao had failed the official provincial level exam and retired to the hills where he gathered medicinal herbs. One day he met an ancient mystic, emerald-eyed with a youthful face, gripping a staff of goosefoot wood. The old man summoned Zhang Jiao into a cave where he placed in his hands a sacred book in 3 volumes. "Here is the essential arts for the millennium," he said. "Now that you have it, spread its teachings far and wide as heaven's messenger for the salvation of our age. But think no seditious thoughts, or retribution will follow." Zhang Jiao asked the old man's name, and he replied, "The old hermit from Mount Hua summit, Zhuangzi, the Taoist sage." Then he changed into a puff of pure breeze and was gone. Zhang Jiao applied himself to the text day and night. By acquiring such arts as summoning the wind and invoking the rain, he became known as the Master of the Millennium. During the first month of the first year of the reign of central stability, Zhongping, a pestilence spread through the land. Styling himself great and worthy teacher, Zhang Jiao distributed charms and potions to the afflicted. He had more than 500 followers, each of whom could write the charms and recite the spells. They traveled widely, and wherever they passed, new recruits joined until Zhang Jiao had established 36 commands, ranging in size from 6,000 or 7,000 to over 10,000, under 36 chieftains titled general or commander. A seditious song began to circulate at this time. The pale sky is on the wane, next a yellow one shall reign. The calendar's rotation spells fortune for the nation. Jiao ordered the words "New Cycle" chalked in the front of every house, and soon the name Zhang Jiao, great and worthy teacher, was hailed throughout the 8 provinces of the realm: Qingzhou, Youzhou, Shuzhou, Zijou, Jingzhou, Yangzhou, Yanzhou, and Yuzhou. At this point, Zhang Jiao had his trusted follower, Ma Yuanyi, bribe the eunuch Feng Shu to work inside the court on behalf of the rebels. Then Zhang Jiao made a proposal to his 2 brothers. Popular support is the hardest thing to win. Today the people favor us. Why waste this chance to seize the realm for ourselves? Zhang Jiao had the yellow banners made ready, fixed the date for the uprising, and then sent one of his followers, Tang Zhou, to inform the agent at court, the eunuch Feng Shu. Instead, Tang Zhou reported the imminent insurrection to the palace. The emperor summoned Regent He Jin to arrest and behead Ma Yuanyi. This done, Feng Shu and his group were seized and jailed. His plot exposed, Zhang Jiao mustered his forces in great haste. Titling himself General of Heaven, his first brother General of Earth, and his second brother General of Men, he addressed his massed followers. Han's fated end is near. A new saga is due to appear. Let one and all obey heaven and follow the true cause, so we may rejoice in the millennium. From the 4 corners of the realm, the common folk, nearly 500,000 strong, bound their heads with yellow scarves and followed Zhang Jiao in rebellion, gathering such force that the government troops scattered on rumor of their approach. Regent Marshal He Jin appealed to the emperor to order every district to defend itself and every warrior to render distinguished service in putting down the uprising. Meanwhile, the regent also gave 3 imperial corps commanders, Lu Zhi, Huang Fusong, and Zhu Jun, command of 3 elite field armies with orders to bring the rebels to justice. As for Zhang Jiao's army, it began advancing on the Youzhou district. The governor, Liu Yan, was a native of Jingling County in Jiangxia and a descendant of Prince Gong of Lu of the imperial clan. Threatened by the approaching rebels, Liu Yan summoned Commandant Zhou Jing for his estimation of the situation. "They are many," said Jing, "and we are few. The best course, your lordship, is to recruit an army quickly and deal with the enemy." The governor agreed and issued a call for volunteers loyal to the throne. The call was posted in Zhou County, where it drew the attention of a man of heroic mettle. This man, though no scholar, was gentle and generous by nature, taciturn and reserved. His one ambition was to cultivate the friendship of the boldest spirits of the empire. He stood 7½ spans tall, with arms that reached below his knees. His earlobes were elongated, and his eyes widely set and able to see his own ears. His face was flawless as jade, and lips like dabs of rouge. This man was a descendant of Liu Sheng, Prince Jing of Zhongshan, a great-great-grandson of the 4th Han Emperor Jing. His name was Liu Bei, his style Zhuande. Generations before, during the reign of Emperor Wu, Liu Sheng's son, Zhen, was made lord of Zhoulu Precinct. But the fief and title were later forfeited when Zhen was accused of making an unsatisfactory offering at the 8th-month libation at the emperor's ancestral temple. Thus a branch of the Liu family came to settle in Zhou County. Zhuande's grandfather was Liu Xiong, his father Liu Hong. Local authorities had recommended Hong to the court for his filial devotion and personal integrity. He received appointment and actually held a minor office, but died young. Orphaned, Zhenda served his widowed mother with unstinting affection. However, they had been left so poor that he had to sell sandals and weave mats to live. The family resided in a county hamlet called Two-Story Mulberry, after a tree some 50 spans just southeast of their home. Seen from afar, the mulberry rose tall and spread broadly like a carriage canopy. "An eminent man will come from this house," a fortune-teller once predicted. While playing beneath the tree with the boys in the hamlet, young Zhenda often boasted, "When I'm son of heaven, my chariot will have a canopy like this." Impressed by these words, his uncle, Liu Yuanxi, remarked, "This is no ordinary child." Yuanxi sympathized with the impoverished family and often helped out his nephew. At 15, Zhenda was sent away by his mother to study, and Zheng Xuan and Lu Zhi were among his teachers. He also formed a close friendship with Gongsun Zan. Zhenda was 28 when Governor Liu issued his call for volunteers. Reading the notice in Zhou that day, Zhenda sighed heavily. "Why such long sighs?" someone behind him asked brusquely. "A real man should be serving as emperor in the hour of peril." Zhenda turned to face a man 8 spans tall, with a blunt head like a panther's, huge round eyes, a swallow's heavy jowls, a tiger's whiskers, a thunderous voice, and a stance like a dashing horse. Half in fear, half in admiration, Zhenda asked his name. "My name is Zhang Fei, styled Yi De. We lived in this country for generations, farming our piece of land, selling wine, and slaughtering pigs. I seek to befriend men of bold spirit. When I saw you sighing and studying the recruitment call, I took the occasion to address you." "As a matter of fact," Zhenda answered, "I am related to the imperial family. My name is Liu Bei. Reading the trouble the Yellow Scarves are stirring up, I have decided to destroy the bandits and protect the people, and I was sighing for my inability to do so when you came by." "I have resources," said Zhang Fei, "that could be used to recruit in this area. Let's work together for the cause. What about it?" Zhenda was elated. The two went to a tavern. As they drank, they watched a strapping fellow pushing a wheelbarrow stop to rest at the tavern entrance. "Some wine, and quickly. I'm off to the city to volunteer," the stranger said as he entered and took a seat. Zhenda observed him, a man of enormous height, 9 spans tall, with a 2-foot-long beard flowing from his rich, ruddy cheeks. He had glistening lips, eyes sweeping sharply back like those of a crimson-faced phoenix, and brows like nestling silkworms. His stature was imposing, his bearing awesome. Zhenda invited him to share their table and asked who he was. "My name is Guan Yu," the man replied. "My style, Changshen, but was later changed to Yunchang. I am from Jieliang in Hedong, but I had to leave there after killing a local bully who was persecuting his neighbors and have been on the move these 5 or 6 years. As soon as I heard about the recruitment, I came to sign up." Zhenda then told of his own ambitions, to Lord Guan's great satisfaction. Together, the 3 left the tavern and went to Zhang Fei's farm to continue their discussion. "There's a peach garden behind my farm," said Zhang Fei. "The flowers are in full bloom. Tomorrow let us offer sacrifice there to heaven and earth, and pledge to combine our strength and purpose as sworn brothers. Then we'll plan our course of action." Zhenda and Lord Guan agreed with one voice, "So be it." The next day, the 3 men had a black bull, a white horse, and other offerings brought to the peach garden. Amid the smoke and incense, they performed their ritual prostration and took their oath. "We 3, though of separate ancestry, join in brotherhood here, combining our strength and purpose to relieve the present crisis. We will perform our duty to the emperor and protect the common folk of the land. We dare not hope to be together always, but hereby vow to die the self-same day. Let shining heaven above and the fruitful land below bear witness to our resolve. May heaven and man scourge whoever fails this vow." So swearing, Zhenda became the eldest brother, Lord Guan the second, and Zhang Fei the youngest. After the ceremonies, they butchered the bull and spread forth a feast in the peach garden for 300 local youths they had recruited, and all drank to their heart's content. The next day they collected weapons, but they wanted for horses. Two visitors whose servants were driving a herd of horses towards Zhang Fei's farm provided the situation. "This must mean that heaven is with us," said Zhenda as the three brothers went forth to greet the men, Zhang Shiping and Su Shuang, two wealthy traders from Zhongshan. Every year they went north to sell horses, but this year they had come to turn back because the yellow scarves. Zhenda invited them to the farm, where he set out wine and entertained them before revealing his intention to hunt down the rebels and protect the people. The visitors were delighted to support the cause by supplying the brothers with 50 fine mounts, 500 ounces of gold and silver, and 1,000 jin of wrought iron to manufacture weapons. After bidding the travelers a grateful farewell, Zhenda had the finest smith forge for him a pair of matching double-edged swords. For Lord Guan, a green dragon crescent moon blade, also known as Frozen Glory, weighing 82 jin. And for Zhang Fei, an 18-span spear of tempered steel. He also ordered full body armor for each of them. At the head of 500 local youths, the brothers presented themselves to Commandant Zhou Jing. Jing brought them to Liu Yan, the governor of Youzhou, before whom the brothers gave account of themselves. When Zhenda mentioned his royal surname, the governor was delighted and acknowledged him as a nephew. Some days later, it was reported that the Yellow Scarves chieftain Cheng Yuanzhi was advancing on Zhou district with 50,000 men. The governor had Commandant Zhou Jing lead the brothers and their 500 against the enemy. Eagerly, Zhenda took his company to the base of Daxing Mountain, where he encountered the rebels, who, as always, appeared with hair unbound and yellow scarves across their foreheads. The two forces stood opposed. Zhenda rode out, Lord Guan to his left, Zhang Fei to his right. Raising his whip, Zhenda cried out, "Traitors to the emperor! Surrender now!" Enraged, Cheng Yuanzhi sent his subordinate commander, Deng Mao, into the field. Zhang Fei sped out, leveled his 18-span serpent-headed spear, and jabbed his adversary through the chest. Seeing Deng Mao tumble dead from his horse, Yuanzhi cut towards Zhang Fei, slapping his mount and flourishing his blade. Lord Guan swung out his mighty sword and, giving his horse free rein, rushed his foe. Cheng Yuanzhi gulped with fright and, before he could defend himself, was sliced in two with a stroke of Lord Guan's weapon. A poet of later times praised the two warriors. "Oh, what a day for gallantry unveiled! One man proved his lance, and one his blade. In maiden trial their martial force was shown. A thrice-torn land will see them gain renown." Their leaders slain, the rebels dropped their spears and fled. Zhenda pursued, taking more prisoners than could be counted, and the brothers returned triumphant. Governor Liu Yan met them personally and rewarded their soldiers. The next day, Liu Yan received an appeal from Governor Gong Jin to relieve the rebel-besieged city of Qingzhou. Zhenda volunteered to go there. Liu Yan ordered Zhuo Jing to join him and his brothers with 5,000 men. As the rescue force approached Qingzhou, the Yellow Scarves divided their army and tied up the government forces in a tangled struggle. Zhenda's fewer numbers could not prevail, and he had to retreat some 30 li where he pitched camp. "They are too many for us. We can only win by surprising them," Zhenda told his brothers. He had Lord Guan and Zhang Fei march off with 1,000 men each and conceal themselves along both sides of a hill. The following day, Zhenda and Zhuo Jin advanced noisily, but drew back when the enemy gave battle. The rebel horde eagerly pursued, but as they passed the hill, the gongs rang out in unison. From left and right, troops poured down as Zhenda and his soldiers swung around to resume combat. Squeezed between three forces, the rebels broke up and were driven to the very walls of Qingzhou, where an armed populace, led by Governor Gong Jing, met them. After a period of slaughter, the Scarves were routed and the siege of Qingzhou was lifted. In later times, a poet praised Zhenda. "Seasoned plans and master moves, all divinely done. The one mighty dragon 2 tigers can't compare. At his first trial, what victories are won? Poor orphan boy, the realm is his to share." After the governor had feasted the troops, Commandant Zhuo Jing wanted to return to Youzhou, but Zhenda said, We have word that Imperial Corps Commander Lu Zhi has been battling the rebel chief Zhang Jiao at Guangzhong. Lu Zhi was once my teacher, and I'd like to help him out." So Zhuo Jing returned to Youzhou with his men, and Zhuande headed for Guangzhong with his brothers and their 500 men. They entered Lu Zhi's tent and after customary salutations explained their purpose in coming. Lu Zhi rejoiced at the arrival of this relief and took the brothers under his command. At this time, Zhang Jiao's 150,000 and Lu Zhi's 50,000 were deadlocked at Guangzhong. "We have them contained here," Lu Zhi said to Zhuande, "but over in Yingchuan, Zhang Jiao's 2 brothers, Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao, are holding out against our generals, Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun. Let me add 1,000 to your company, and then go out and investigate the situation there and fix the time to sweep the rebels out." On Lu Zhi's order, Zhuande rode through the night to Yingchuan. Meanwhile, checked by Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun, the Yingchuan rebels had retreated to Changshi, where they hastily built a campsite near a field. "If they're in a field," General Huang Fusong said to Zhu Jun, "we should attack by fire." They ordered each soldier to lie in wait with unlit torches of straw. That night the wind rose. After the second watch, the government soldiers burned the camp. Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun attacked the rebels' stockade as flames stretched skyward. Without saddling their horses or bucking their armor, the rebels fled panic-stricken in every direction. The slaughter continued until morning. Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao were in full flight when their fire-decimated forces were intercepted by a contingent of men with red flags flying. The leader of this new unit flashed into sight, tall, narrow-eyed, with a long beard. The man's rank was cavalry commander. His name was Cao Cao, styled Mengde. Cao Cao's father, Cao Song, was not originally a Cao, but a Xiahou. However, as the adopted son of eunuch Cao Teng, he assumed the surname Cao. Cao Song was Cao Cao's natural father. In addition, Cao Cao had the childhood nickname of Aman and another given name, Ji Li. As a youth, Cao had loved the hunt and delighted in song and dance. He was a boy with ingenious ideas for any situation, a regular storehouse of schemes and machinations. Once, Cao's uncle, outraged by his nephew's wild antics, complained to Cao's father, who in turn reproached Cao. The next time the boy saw his uncle, he dropped to the ground and pretended to have a fit. The terrified uncle fetched the father, who rushed to his son's side only to find him perfectly sound. "Your uncle told me you'd had a fit," said Song. "Has it passed?" "Nothing of the sort ever happened," replied Cao. "My uncle accuses me of everything, because I have lost favor with him." The father believed the son, and thereafter ignored the uncle's complaints, leaving Cao free to indulge his whims. At about that time, a man called Qiao Xuan said to Cao, "The empire is near ruin, and can be saved only by a man capable of dominating the age. You could be that one." On another occasion, He Yu of Nanyang said of Cao Cao, "The house of Han is going to fail, yet I feel certain this is the man to steady the realm." In Runan, a man named Shu Shao, known for his insight into human character, refused to give Cao a reading. But, pressed repeatedly, the man finally spoke. "You could be an able statesman in time of peace, or a treacherous villain in a time of chaos." This prediction pleased Cao Cao immensely. At 20, Cao received his district's recommendation for filial devotion and personal integrity, and this led to his initial appointment to the palace. Later, he was given command of security in the northern half of the district where the capital, Luoyang, was located. On assuming office, he had a dozen decorated cudgels placed at the 4 gates of the city. They were to be a sign that any violator of the laws, however high or mighty, would be punished. One night, the uncle of the eunuch, Jian Shou, was seen going through the streets carrying a broadsword. Cao, making his nightly rounds, apprehended him and had one of his bludgeons applied. Thereafter, no one dared break the laws, and Cao Cao's prestige increased. Later, he was made magistrate of Dunxiu. During the Yellow Scarves uprising, the court elevated Cao to the rank of cavalry commander, and it was in this capacity that he led 5,000 mounted warriors and foot soldiers to the Yingchuan district. He encountered the routed troops of Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao and cut off their retreat. In the ensuing fray, his men took 10,000 heads as well as flags, banners, gongs, drums, and horses in large number. Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao, however, managed to escape after a desperate struggle. Cao presented himself to Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun, the imperial field generals, and then went after the two rebel leaders. Meanwhile, Zhuande and his brothers neared Yingchuan, hurrying toward the roar of battle and the glowing night horizon. They reached the scene only to find the rebels already scattered. Zhuande presented himself to Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun and explained why Lu Zhi had sent them. "Zhang Ju's two brothers are done for by now," said Huang Fusong. "They'll be taking refuge with Jiao at Guangzhong. That's where you are needed." Zhuande accepted the order and led his men back. En route, they came upon some soldiers escorting a cage cart holding none other than Lu Zhi as the prisoner. Amazed to find under arrest the commander whom he so recently had been serving, Zhuande dismounted and asked what was the matter. "I had Zhang Jiao surrounded and nearly defeated," Lu Zhi explained, "when he prevented our victory by some kind of magic. The court sent eunuch Zuo Feng from the inner bureau to investigate. He was only looking to get paid off, but I told him with supplies exhausted we have nothing to spare for the imperial envoy. My refusal only angered him. He bore the grudge back to court and reported that I was weakening morale by keeping on the defensive and not engaging the enemy. The court sent Imperial Corps Commander Dong Zhuo to relieve me and return me to the capital to face charges." Outraged at the treatment of Zhuande's former teacher, Zhang Fei moved to cut down the guard and rescue the prisoner, but Zhuande checked him. "The court will see that justice is done," he said. "Better not act rashly." They let the escort pass. "With Lu Zhi arrested and replaced," said Lord Guan, "we have nowhere to go but back to Zhou district." Zhuande agreed and began marching north, but on the next day they heard a great tumult behind a hill. Zhuande and his brothers climbed to high ground. A beaten Han army came into their view. Behind it, hill and dale swarmed with yellow scarves bearing the banners that read, "Heavenly Commander." "Zhang Jiao himself!" cried Zhuande. "Let us attack at once!" The three brothers swung their men into fighting position just as Zhang Jiao was beating down the forces of Dong Zhuo, Lu Zhi's replacement as Imperial Corps Commander. Carried by their momentum, the rebels drove hard until they ran up against the brothers. A murderous clash followed. Zhang Jiao's men were thrown into confusion and had to retreat more than 50 li. The brothers rescued Dong Zhuo, and they saw him back to his camp. Zhuo inquired what offices they held, but, upon learning that they were commoners without position, disdainfully refused to acknowledge their service. The three started to leave the camp with Zhang Fei grumbling, "Is this how the wretch treats us for risking our lives to save him? Then I'll have another kind of satisfaction." Bent on revenge, Zhang Fei turned and stamped back toward Dong Zhuo's headquarters, a sword in hand. It was a case where, indeed, status is what counts and always has. Who needs to honor heroes without rank? Oh, let me have a Zhang Fei straight and true, who'll pay out every ingrate what he's due. Did Zhang Fei kill the Imperial Corps Commander? Read on.